Sit back, buckle up, it is a long one. Hey guys, thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, we are here today to do our first ever 3 looks, 1 palette video using the ABH Jackie Aina palette. So I do want to first apologize if I seem a little bit rambly. It's because I only have like 17 minutes of battery life remaining, and I did not have the smarts to charge my other battery last night. So that's what we are working with. I first just want to quickly say thank you guys for everyone who requested this or is just curious to watch and see. I am not the most confident in my eyeshadow capabilities, so this was a lot of fun. It was a learning process. I feel like by doing these 3 looks and editing the video and putting it up for you guys, it's only going to get better from here. I've just learned so much about angles and what I should do to make the next one better. Not to say that I'm upset with the quality of this video. I think that it still turned out reasonably well for somebody's first go. So in the description box, what you will find is timestamps to the different looks, so that way you can skip around if you want to. Also in the description box, I'm going to leave the video. I used this palette months ago where it was a favorite palette but using my least favorite shades, just in case you want to see it in action in a different way. Hopefully what I can pop up on the screen for you right now are the 3 different looks, so that you can go and find them in the description box and see which ones you want to go to. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself for trying different things, different techniques, things that I wouldn't normally do. And at the end of the day, I'm really proud of how all the looks came out. I'm really proud because while I do love this palette and enjoy it, it does have some intimidating shades for me. So just overall, just a happy experience. And yeah, so let's get right on into it with look number 1. All right, eye look number 1 using the ABH Jackie Aina palette. I do have to say, I filmed this eye look yesterday, but the audio just didn't, it was kind of corrupted, so I couldn't salvage the footage. When I filmed this yesterday, I mentioned ooh, I'm kind of nervous because the purple metallic shade Shookington from this palette I had never put on my eyelids until yesterday, but I loved how the look turned out so much that I still wanted to film it, so that's what we're going to do today. I did swatch out all of the colors that we'll be using on my hands so that you guys could go ahead and see them. So this first shade is Bigwig, which is the matte purple from the palette. Underneath that is the shade Supreme, which is a matte kind of hot pink shade. Then underneath that is the metallic shade Shookington. And the last shade that we will be using is Trust Issues from the palette, which in my opinion performs better as a topper shade or an inner corner highlight kind of shade. So I'm really excited. Let me zoom you guys in, get a better angle, and we will get started with the eye look. All right, so we're zoomed in nice and personal. I did forget to tell you guys that I did I used my Urban Decay All Nighter Primer Potion to prime my eyes. That's what I did. And then I did set it down because I have hooded and oily eyelids. So I did set it down with a powder that I'm currently using. You guys can either do that step or skip that step. It's totally up to you. I have my mirror in front of me. Hopefully this works out okay. With it zoomed in this far, I will not be able to specifically show you the shadow from the palette, so I will just be referencing the name, and like we did have it swatched out, so you have an idea of already what shades we're working with. But I am first going to take this kind of domed blending brush, and I'm going to use that to pick up the matte purple shade Bigwig, and I'm going to first just stamp that into my outer V where I want it, and I'm going to bring it a little bit higher than the kind of socket where my eyelid is. So that is the first step. All right, so that's what it looks like just with that purple matte shade Bigwig stamped out onto the inner corner. Now, my brushes are dirty. They were clean yesterday, but I'm going to take just a, my favorite crease work blending kind of brush, and I'm going to actually pick up the shade Supreme on this, and we are going to take it and help blend out the edges of this Bigwig shade as well as bring it into like this naked crease area, whatever you want to call it. So that's what we're going to do now. Alright, so here is what we're looking like with it like blended out. Hopefully what you guys were seeing was that I was taking Supreme, the pink shade, to just, I did put it over the Big Wig shade just in order to blend out that outer corner. So I'm really happy with how that looks as far as like outer V and like crease work. So what I'm now going to do, and you can use whatever you want, concealer, the NYX glitter glue, which is what I will be using. You could use a cream eyeshadow, but on this like inner half of my lid, I'm going to lay down this NYX glitter glue. That way it makes the like metallic purple shade Shookington pop a little bit more. So I'm going to lay this down, and then I'm going to pick up that Shookington shade on a, like, this is a Real Techniques like flat kind of blending brush, but I really like using this for like picking up shimmer shades. So that's what you're going to see me do now. Forgot to mention, the brush that I'm using to put down the glitter glue is just the Urban Decay brush that came from the Naked 2 palette. Just the shape of this and how flat it is really, it's the best brush that I have in order to apply like a glitter glue. Alright, I did bring the glitter primer a little bit higher than like my natural like lid area, just because, again, hooded eyelids. So now we're going to go in with that Shookington shade, which is the metallic purple. Alright, I know I have quite a bit of fallout, but we're going to wait before we wipe that away. So what I'm going to do is go back in with that more flat domed brush and just add a little bit more of the matte purple Big Wig to the outer V. Alright, then with no additional product on it, I am just taking the blending brush that I was using, and I'm going to kind of like fade those two in together, as well as blend out the edges in the crease. Alright, then I'm just taking a Duo fiber brush, and that's what I use to wipe away my fallout. If you did your makeup, if you did your eyeshadow first and then your foundation, you'd be in a better position than I am, but I can't get into the habit of doing that. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna take a short intermission while Haley tries to fix this purple shimmer. Okay, so I think I fixed it. It might still look a little purple and shimmery there, but learn from my mistakes. Do your eyeshadow first. All I did was I took a foundation, like a pressed foundation powder, and my under eye setting brush, and just kind of like buffed it in, and it really, that helps. So, you know, that's all we're gonna do. All right, back to the eye look. So we are going to take the shade Trust Issues, which is that topper, kind of like duochrome white gold shade. I'm just going to take it on my finger and tap it on top of the purple metallic Shookington shade. And then I'm going to take this very like flat, small brush here. This is from Alamar Cosmetics. This is just what I use to do my inner corner highlight work. And Trust Issues is going to be our inner corner highlight as well. So we're gonna like blend out the crease once we do the other eye, but I just wanted you guys to see like the difference. So this is the shade that has Trust Issues topped on top, and this eye does not. I think either way is a really pretty eye look. I just want that little bit of extra, you know. Alright, so there is our inner corner highlight done. I'm going to put on my Peachy Nude Peachy Nude eyeliner in my waterline. This is just from Essence. It's the shade 06 Silky Nude. Again, you don't need to do this step if you don't want to. I just think having this in my waterline makes my eyes look more awake. Alright, for the lower lash line, what I'm going to take is this like flat shader brush, I guess. This is the Morphe M165 in case you're curious. But I'm going to take Big Wig on this and put that like in my outer V lower lash line. And then I'm going to take the shade Supreme and put that meeting the inner corner highlight. And then I'm going to take this small blending brush from Real Techniques. It doesn't have any product on it. It's dirty because, like I said, I did this eye look yesterday. But this is the brush that I'm going to use to kind of like blend those two together for the lower lash line. Alright, and so I also took this brush and just made sure that I was really happy with how the edges of Supreme were blended out. So now what I'm going to do off camera is apply my lash primer, which is the Milani, the violet one. And then the current open mascara that I have is the Benefit Roller Lash. But again, use whatever you want. Alright, so here is the completed eye look number 1. I feel a little ridiculous, like just waving my face around with my eyes closed. But I really hope that you guys liked this look. Of course, you could add mascara to your lower lash line. I just don't do that because I don't like the look of it. You could put on false lashes, like whatever you want to do to like vamp this up. But I really love that this is just 4 shades, so simple, like walk out the door with it. And even though it is like pinks and purples, I feel like it's a pretty like, I don't want to say neutral look, but it's like not as colorful and bright as you could go. So I feel like you could wear this look just in your everyday life. But yeah, that is look number 1. Oh, more and more, I do not like that Bare Minerals foundation, which has nothing to do with this video, but do not judge me on the cakiness or the pore sizes that I got going on. So second eye look, and I want to try to do a halo eye, and I have never used these color combinations before using the ABH Jackie Aina palette to make a halo eye, so we're gonna see how this turns out. But I swatched out the colors that we will be using on my hand. So we have the red shimmer shade Wigglies. Underneath that we have the other shimmer shade next to it called Zam, and then this shade right here is Edges, which is the matte kind of brick red, almost like brown color. And then underneath that is the shade Ginger. And then at the very bottom there, it's very faint, is the shade Soleil. I think Soleil will be our inner corner shade because I have used Zam once as an inner corner shade and it's far too dark for that. So halo eye it is. All right. All right, so I do want to tell you guys, I already primed my eyelids and set down my eyeshadow primer. I used the Urban Decay original eyeshadow primer for that. You can just use whatever you want. And to set down my eyelids, I just used a matte cream shade, as we all know that I do. So let us just get right on into this. All right, so starting out with my crease brush, I believe this is from Crown brushes, but I'm not sure. I'm going to take that shade Edges, which is the more like red matte shade that we have working with, and I'm just going to put that basically in like this socket area of my eye and not really blend it up too far because it is such a darker shade. I want to lay that down first and then use the matte shade Ginger very lightly to like blend out the edges and bring that higher up in the transition area. So edges first. I don't know what it is. I'm going to blend this out a little bit more, but I just want to comment. I set down my eyeshadow primer like I normally do, but for some reason, like I'm feeling like my brush kind of tug on my skin and not really blend out the shades as effortlessly as it normally does. So I don't know like what I've done wrong in my like off-camera makeup application, but if you see like maybe some like skipping of the shadow or something, we will try our best to fix that. But I don't know, like it's just a very sticky tacky base right now. Okay, I want to just build that up just a little bit and bring it up a little bit more because like I do have hooded eyes and I feel like right here in the center that shadow kind of is getting a little bit lost. So not too further up, and with a very light hand we're gonna dip back into edges. Alright, so a million hours of blending later, and I think I'm happy with how this is looking like. So I'm just cleaning off my brush, and all I use is like this little, this is meant to like make a perfect bun in your hair, but I just use it to wipe off the color because I'm going to use this same crease brush and pick up the shade Ginger. And what we are going to do is I'm going to start it in the same place as I did edges, but bring it up further to kind of blend those two together and soften up the edges of edges. Okay, so here's what our crease work is looking like. I know that it doesn't really look all that different using the Ginger shade to blend out those edges, but in person, I feel like it gives it that subtle difference to where you can tell it's like that gradient effect. It is lighter, closer to your brow bone, and then as you move down more into the crease, it does get darker. You could though probably, however, if you wanted to, just take a clean blending brush and kind of like fluff out the edges of edges rather than going in with Ginger. So the next thing we are going to do, I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue. You guys can use whatever sticky base you like. You could wet your brushes, use a cream eyeshadow. It's really up to you. I am going to apply this all over each of my lids because what I want to do for the halo eye is go in with Zam and use that actually on the inner and outer corners for the halo eye, and then take the Wiggalese shade and use that as the center. I know probably a lot of people would do it opposite, but I really want to see what this Wiggalese shade looks like in the center blended in with the Zam shade. So the brush that I use to apply my NYX glitter glue is just the brush from the Urban Decay Naked 2 eyeshadow palette, but it's just this very like flat type brush, and I find that this works really well to just pick up the primer and then be able to basically carve it out onto my eyelid. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, so eye primer is down, and I do bring the primer a little bit up further than my actual lid because again, I have hooded eyes and I want to make sure that even when my eyes are open, you'll be able to see the colors that are on my lid. So taking the brush that came from the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette, it is, again, it's just like a more like, it's still a flat like shader brush, but just fatter. It does look stained. I used it once to put down my yellow base pigment and it just won't come clean. Fun fact, I did order a set of brushes so that I won't have this like hodgepodge of a collection when we do further looks videos. But the first shade, what I'm going to use with this brush is I'm going to go in with Zam right here. And again, I'm going to place that on the inner and the outer third. So here is what it's looking like right now. I kind of like it. I feel like it's a little bit lost in the outer V. I don't know. We're just playing around, seeing how this goes. But yeah, so for the center, we are going to take the shade Wiggalese, and I'm sure you can just take your finger. However, I just like using brushes. I find that when I use my fingers, my shades get hard pan easier. So I just have this Real Techniques base shadow brush is what it's called. It's like a fluffier flat brush, but what I'm going to do is just take Wiggalese on this and kind of pat it into the center there and blend it between the inner and outer third. Alright, going back in with the brush that we used Zam with, I'm not picking up any more product, but I'm just going to tap between the colors and make sure that I'm fading them nicely. Alright, and again, no additional product, but taking my blending brush that I was using, and I'm just going to go over like that little bit of a harsh edge very lightly to make sure that my crease is blended out. think I faded those pretty nicely. I feel like I have small eyelid space, so when I do halo eyes, I feel like the center shade always gets lost a little bit, but I do like having the darker shade in the center and having like the gold fade into it. So let's do our inner corner and lower lash line. Okay, so for inner corner, this is just a brush from Alamar Cosmetics. I'm going to use the shade Soleil for the inner corner. Alright, and how I kind of blend out the edges of an inner corner is just take the brush and like kind of do these like little flicking motions to kind of help fade that up and kind of out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there is the inner corner. I don't typically do brow bone highlights. I just don't think they look that flattering on me. However, if you like to do brow bone highlights, I would say Soleil is the best shade out of this palette to use as a brow bone highlight, no matter what color combination or anything like that you're using. So now let me, I'm gonna quickly apply my Peachy Nude eyeliner. This is just from Essence. It's in the shade 06 Silky Nude. You can use whatever liner you want in your waterline, like maybe a red or a brown. I just like peachy ones because I feel like they make my eyes look more awake. All right, so taking this little like flat, I don't know, I guess maybe it's an eyebrow brush. I don't know. I use it for my lower lash line. It's from Morphe. It's the M165 in case you're curious. I'm just going to use this to stamp out colors on my lower lash line. So in the outer V, we are going to take the shade Edges. And then I think what we're going to do is take the shade Wiggleze, which is the shimmer red, and bring that meeting up with Soleil. That way our like the red shade is a little bit more represented on the lower lash line as well. Finding like the angle is kind of hard on this. All right, then I'm taking a clean, fluffy blending brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just gonna blend out that lower lash line with this. All right, you can't judge any eye look until you got mascara on, so I'm gonna use my eyelash primer, which is the Milani, the violet one, and then the current open mascara I have is this little mini size of the Roller Lash from Benefit, so I will be right back after I apply those. So, fun fact that I feel like I need to admit to you guys, I have a anxious habit of pulling my eyelashes out on this eye, so the lashes look a little bit stubbier on this eye than the other eye, but you know, it's okay. But here is our final eye look. I really like it. Again, I feel kind of silly doing this, but I really do like that the gold fades into the red. If you're not super into that, I think you could totally reverse the colors and still do a halo eye and have the gold Zam shade be your like inner shade and have Wiggleze be your outer shade. But really in love with this. Yeah, that's all I think I have to say. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let's just roll on to the third eye look. All right, I feel really pale, but it's cloudy, and so we have the ring light on. But anyway, eye look number 3 using the ABH Jackie Aina palette. So let's look at all of our colors swatched out that we will be using. So the first one is the Matte Brown Credit shade. Then we have, I like to call this like a mix between a purple and a pink. It is a matte shade and it is called Pinker from the palette. And then underneath that is Supreme, which is like the matte, I always call it like a hot pink, but honestly, it's probably not all that hot. It's just more of like a pink. But anyway, we will be using that. And then we have 2 shimmer shades from the palette. So the first is Sponsored, which is my favorite shade from the palette. So I wanted to make sure that I showcased it in some way. I want to make sure that I try to use as many shades as possible and not have like a lot of overlap between each look. That way it's like a nice variety of things. So I think we've done a really good job of accomplishing that. But yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. I have ordered a new set of eye brushes and they're here and I could use them, but I feel like a little weird, you know? Like I feel we need to just continue on with the hodgepodge of brushes. So that's what we're gonna do. So I have the one from e.l.f. This is the Blending Eye Brush, and you guys know it's kind of like more domed than like a standard blending brush. But I'm going to take this brush, put Credit, the matte brown on it, and just stamp that into kind of like a V shape on my eye, you know, like kind of go up and then in. We're gonna see how that works. All right, what do we think? It looks really funny in the viewfinder, but yeah, so that, I think they're even. I don't wanna like go in and like keep trying to fix it and then just make it worse. So that is the first step that we are going to do. Then we are going to take a blending brush. This one is from Crown, and what I'm going to do is pick up the shade Pinker, which is that like kind of purpley pink color, and we are going to first stamp that right over Credit and then start to blend that into the crease, but we are not going to take it all the way into our like, what do you call this, inner corner. One eternity of blending later, and I know it still looks a little blunt. We are going to try to fix that here in just a little bit, but I just wanted to lay down that pinker shade and kind of like start to blend the two together. I don't know, I've never done this kind of eye look before. Like, we're trying to be adventurous, you know? All right, so then I'm going to take this smaller blending brush from Real Techniques. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really tell you the name. But what I'm going to try to do is kind of like blend out and smooth out the edge on this so that it's not such a like harsh line, you know? All right, so I think that looks a little bit better. And two, once we do a lower lash line, it's going to look a little more put together, you know? All right, so I'm picking back up the blending brush from Crown that we used, and I have cleaned it off. And what I'm gonna do is pick up a little bit of Pinker, which is the matte pink shade, and I'm just going to tap very lightly into that. And that I'm going to bring like right here just above all of the work that we have done, just to kind of like blend out that final edge and make it like a little bit softer and like have that nice fading effect. Alright, so now that we are done with all of that blending, blend till your little heart is content. You can never blend too much. Well, you probably can blend too much. Don't take my advice. I'm gonna take the NYX glitter glue. You guys can use whatever you want. Again, just wet your brush, use a cream eyeshadow, another type of glitter primer. This is just the one that I have and that I love. So what I want to do is take that and use it to carve out where we are going to put the shade Sponsored, which is like the interesting kind of duochrome green. So my vision, okay, is that I'm going to bring this pretty far to my inner corner and pretty far up to almost meet up with the Supreme shade so that it is a really big focus part of our lid. And again, since I have hooded eyelids, I need to bring it up a little bit further than someone else with like nice God-given lids would have to do. So let's try this. Alright, so now to pick up Sponsored, I'm just going to use the Urban Decay Naked Honey brush that came with that palette. And it's just a very flat brush, as you can see, but it's good for me to like get it in there and place it exactly where I want. So again, where we put that eyeshadow primer is kind of where we're going to take it. So all the way up even here, and then fade it into these colors. Alright, so going back to that blending brush that we never put any product on, our clean one that we were using to blend out edges, That's all I'm gonna do is kind of like blend down this pink into the green right here. Alright, so here's what we are looking like so far. Inner corner highlight, we are going to use the shade Dwellers, and we're going to take that little very flat brush from Alamar Cosmetics. Alright, so lower lash line time. Again, I'm just taking my Morphe brush. I'm going to start with the shade Pinker and do that on the outer. And then I'm going to clean off this brush, take the shade Supreme, and then I'm going to take the clean blending brush that we've been using and blend those two together. Okay, and I did take the time to like just kind of make sure that the corners were a little bit blended out. I don't know how well it translates on camera, but I did do it. Alright, so let me throw on my peachy nude eyeliner, my lash primer, oh my goodness, and my mascara, and I will be right back. Alright, don't judge me too harshly. I poked myself in the eye with my mascara wand, and then, like the adult that I am, I got mad at the inanimate tube of mascara, and I was like, fine, if you don't want to play nice, we won't be playing at all. So long story short, if the mascara looks a little bit funny on this eye, it is because I am a child. But anyway, here is the final look of eye look number 3. I edited the first 2 eye looks and I'm like, Haley, you look ridiculous doing this. But I don't really know what other better way to show you the complete and final look. So that wraps it up. Alright, so that was my 3 looks 1 palette video using the ABH Jackie Aina palette. I thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!